Ford is recalling 350,000 brand new trucks and SUVs. That includes the most popular vehicle in America, the F-150 truck.
Car companies build transmissions they know will break on purpose, betting you'll just buy a new car instead of fixing yours. This might not reflect your personal experience, but industry data and consumer reports show average consumers face expensive problems with these particular models. The Murano uses a CVT transmission that Nissan knew would self-destruct before most car loans were paid off. Internal engineering reports from 2014 showed the CVT would overheat and fail within 60,000 miles under normal driving conditions. Nissan executives chose to launch anyway, calculating that most customers would trade vehicles before expensive repairs hit. Consumer reports documented transmission failures in 68% of surveyed Murano owners, giving it a devastating 1 out of 5 reliability rating. The violent jerking during acceleration happens because Nissan designed inadequate cooling systems to save $150 per vehicle. When the CVT overheats, it literally cooks itself from the inside, creating metal shavings that destroy the entire unit. Service centers received confidential training manuals instructing them to blame transmission failures on aggressive acceleration patterns or improper driving techniques. The CVT fluid degrades so rapidly that Nissan secretly recommended changes every 30,000 miles while publicly claiming lifetime fluid. Factory quality control allowed transmissions with defective torque converters to pass inspection for 4 years, knowing they would seize without warning. Ford's transmission has a shuddering problem so severe it feels like driving over rumble strips at highway speeds. Ford engineers documented this torque converter shudder during development, but launched anyway to meet model year deadlines. The transmission literally vibrates itself apart during normal acceleration. Ford rejected stronger torque converter designs to save $80 per transmission, despite internal testing showing the cheaper design would fail within 50,000 miles. The constant vibrations damage engine mounts and surrounding components while making the vehicle nearly undrivable. Consumer reports found that 84% of Edge owners experienced transmission shudder, leading to a 2 out of 5 reliability rating. Dealership service departments were systematically trained to tell customers that shuddering was normal operation and recommend expensive transmission flushes instead of repairs. The transmission overheats so frequently that Ford secretly installed additional cooling lines in later production but never retrofitted earlier vehicles. Quality control data shows internal damage beginning at 40,000 miles, but Ford designed warranties to expire at 36,000 miles. Ram's 8-speed transmission makes clunking noises so loud they can be heard outside the vehicle. Chrysler engineers knew the transmission mounts were inadequately designed for the 8-speed's shifting characteristics. The transmission literally beats itself to death against the truck frame during normal operation. J.D. Power documented clunking complaints from 72% of Ram 1,500 owners, with many reporting complete transmission failure after the clunking started. The deafening mechanical sounds occur because Chrysler used $25 cheaper transmission mounts that can't handle the violent shifting forces. When the transmission shifts, it moves so violently that it damages surrounding components and cracks the transmission case. Certified mechanics received official guidance to dismiss clunking as normal gear engagement sounds and avoid warranty repairs. The transmission software has a fatal flaw that causes delayed engagement when shifting from park to drive, creating dangerous situations when pulling into traffic. Chrysler issued 12 different software updates trying to mask the problem but never fixed the fundamental design flaws that cause the violent shifting. Acura's 9-speed transmission has software so buggy it can't decide which gear to use. Honda engineers warned management that the 9-speed wasn't ready for production, but Acura executives forced the launch to compete with luxury rivals. The transmission hesitates for seconds during acceleration, creating dangerous situations when merging onto highways. The flawed shift logic software causes the transmission to hunt endlessly between gears, with drivers reporting it feels confused during steady speed driving. Acura used untested software algorithms to meet fuel economy targets, knowing they would create dangerous hesitation during acceleration. Consumer Reports documented hesitation problems in 91% of MDX test vehicles, earning a dismal 1 out of 5 rating for performance and reliability. Service advisors were coached to explain hesitation as fuel economy optimization and recommend costly transmission adaptation procedures that don't actually fix anything. The 9-speed design has so many internal clutches that normal wear creates metal particles that contaminate the entire system. Honda continued production for 4 years while knowing the software problems made the vehicles unsafe during emergency maneuvers. Honda's 9-speed transmission judders so violently during shifts that it shakes the entire vehicle. Honda engineers discovered the juddering during pre-production testing, but launched anyway to meet aggressive fuel economy targets mandated by corporate headquarters. The transmission feels like it's tearing itself apart during every acceleration. Honda designed inadequate torque converter lockup strategies to improve fuel economy, ignoring engineering warnings about violent vibrations. J.D. Power found juddering complaints from 86% of Pilot owners, making it one of the worst-rated transmissions in automotive history. When the converter tries to lock and unlock, it creates bone-rattling vibrations that damage engine mounts and transmission components. The 9-speed has so many gears that the transmission computer can't properly control shifts, causing constant hunting and overheating. Honda's own internal testing showed transmissions beginning to fail at 45,000 miles, but they set warranty coverage to expire at 60,000 miles. Infiniti's CVT transmission whines like a dying animal and slips during acceleration. Nissan engineers warned that using the same CVT design across multiple vehicle weights would cause premature failure in heavier applications. Infiniti executives ignored these warnings and installed undersized CVTs to reduce manufacturing costs by $200 per vehicle. Consumer Reports documented CVT slipping in 79% of QX60 owners, with many experiencing complete transmission failure before 70,000 miles. The burning smell that fills the cabin happens when the CVT belt can't handle the QX60's weight and generates heat that destroys internal components. Infiniti knowingly used an undersized CVT design that would slip during normal acceleration, creating complete power loss in traffic situations. The transmission overheats so severely that it can damage the engine's cooling system, turning a transmission problem into a total powertrain failure. Subaru's largest SUV uses the same problematic CVT design that fails in their smaller cars, but now it has to handle 5,000 pounds and 8 passengers. Japanese engineers warned that the CVT couldn't handle the Ascent's weight and towing demands, but corporate executives rushed the launch to compete in the 3-row market. The transmission shudders and hesitates under load, making highway merging dangerous with a full family aboard. Subaru knew the CVT would overheat when towing or climbing hills, but marketed the Ascent's 5,000-pound towing capacity anyway. Consumer Reports documented transmission problems in 61% of Ascent owners, with many reporting complete CVT failure before 50,000 miles despite regular maintenance. The hesitation during acceleration occurs because the CVT belt slips under the heavy load, creating a delayed response that can last several seconds during critical driving situations. The CVT cooling system is inadequate for the Ascent's size, causing fluid to break down rapidly and contaminate the entire transmission. Subaru continued production, knowing that family safety was compromised by dangerous hesitation during emergency maneuvers, calculating that lawsuit costs would be less than redesigning the transmission. GM's largest SUV suffers from the same 9-speed transmission disasters that plague their smaller vehicles, but the problems are amplified by the Traverse's weight and family hauling duties. General Motors engineers documented that the 9-speed couldn't handle the Traverse's towing capacity during development testing, but marketing demanded the capability to compete with Ford and Honda. The transmission hunts constantly between gears and refuses to downshift when passing, creating dangerous situations on highways. The 9-speed shift logic is so confused that drivers report the transmission thinking for up to 4 seconds before responding to throttle inputs. GM used the same flawed software across their entire SUV lineup to save development costs, despite knowing it would create hesitation that could prove fatal during emergency maneuvers. J.D. Power ranked the Traverse transmission among the worst in its class, with 74% of owners reporting shift quality problems and delayed engagement issues. Service technicians were systematically programmed to perform multiple transmission learning procedures instead of replacing defective units under warranty. The 9-speed design creates so much internal heat that it damages surrounding components, turning transmission problems into expensive cascading failures throughout the drivetrain. GM issued 23 different software updates trying to mask the fundamental problems, but never addressed the core issue that the transmission simply cannot handle the vehicle's weight and power demands. These manufacturers prioritized profits over drivability, leaving you stranded with useless transmissions. Subscribe for more automotive investigations that expose industry secrets. Watch the next video on screen for SUVs with dangerous brake system failures.